The fluorescent hum of the shared workspace felt like a personal insult that Tuesday afternoon. Liam stared at the glowing number on his banking app. $412.37. $412.37. That was it. That was the sum total of his financial existence. A paltry shield against the relentless barrage of rent, student loan payments, and the ever-present gnawing fear of eviction. He was 28, a freelance graphic designer who'd been riding the high of a stable part-time gig for 2 years, only to have the rug pulled out from under him last month. The layoff had been brutal, sudden, and left him adrift in a sea of overdue invoices and dwindling hope. His landlord had called that morning. A polite but firm reminder that rent was due in 3 days. Liam's stomach churned with a familiar acid. He scrolled through his transaction history, each outgoing arrow a tiny dagger to his already bleeding account. Just as the despair threatened to swallow him whole, his phone buzzed. It was his mother, Eleanor. Liam felt an immediate knot tighten in his chest. Eleanor's calls rarely brought good news, especially when they came with a certain breathless urgency. He took a deep breath and answered. "Liam, darling. Oh, thank goodness you picked up. I'm in a simply dreadful bind, a truly dreadful bind, and I just don't know who else to turn to." Her voice, usually a melodic purr, was edged with a theatrical tremor. Eleanor, in her mid-50s, had always possessed a flair for the dramatic, a talent she honed over decades of navigating life's inconveniences with a carefully constructed narrative of victimhood. And Liam, unfortunately, had often played the unwitting hero in her stories. "What's wrong, Mom?" he asked, trying to keep his voice even, despite the rising tide of apprehension. "Oh, it's Chloe, my poor talented Chloe. You know how she's been dreaming of that art workshop, the one in Santorini? It's truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, darling. Absolutely pivotal for her budding career. The one with the renowned sculptor Ilara Vance? It's just, well, the costs are simply astronomical. The workshop itself is manageable just barely, but the flights, Liam, the flights are $1,500 each. Can you imagine? $3,000 just for 2 economy tickets." Liam's mind immediately screamed red flag. Santorini? Chloe, his younger sister, 22, recently graduated, impressionable and genuinely talented, had mentioned an art workshop, but never anything of this magnitude. And $1,500 for an economy flight to Greece? It sounded inflated even for last minute. He knew his mother's track record. Financial responsibility was a foreign concept to Eleanor. Her budget was a whimsical fantasy, and her promises of repayment were as fleeting as morning mist. "Mom, you know my situation," Liam began, his voice tight. "I just got laid off. I'm barely making rent as it is. I don't have that kind of money." A sniffle, then a full-blown sob erupted on the other end. "Oh, Liam, how can you say that? After all I've done for you. All those years sacrificing, making sure you had everything you needed. And now when your sister, your own flesh and blood, has this incredible chance, you're going to let her down? You're going to crush her dreams?" She's so excited, Liam. She truly believes this is her big break. If she doesn't go, it will absolutely devastate her. You'd be destroying Chloe's future. The familiar guilt trip expertly deployed. Eleanor was a master manipulator, capable of twisting any situation into a moral dilemma, where Liam was always the villain if he didn't comply. He pictured Chloe's hopeful face, her genuine passion for art. He knew his mother would weaponize Chloe's disappointment against him for years. He was exhausted, too tired to fight, too emotionally drained to resist the tidal wave of maternal guilt. "It's just a temporary loan, darling, I promise. I'm expecting a rather substantial inheritance from Great-Aunt Mildred's estate any day now. It's been held up in probate, but my solicitor assures me it's imminent. You'll have your money back within weeks, I swear on my life. Just for the flights, Liam, just the 2 economy tickets. I'll send you the flight details, you can book them directly. Please, Liam." For Chloe, the forthcoming inheritance was a recurring phantom in Eleanor's financial narratives, a convenient excuse for every desperate plea. It had never materialized, but the thought of Chloe's crushed dreams, the endless recriminations from his mother, the sheer emotional fatigue of saying no, it wore him down. "Okay, Mom," Liam sighed, the words tasting like ash. "Okay, just for the flights. 2 economy tickets. Send me the details. But I'm putting a strict limit on the card. And I need it back, Mom. Seriously. He gave her his credit card details, feeling a cold dread settle in his gut. He tried to reassure himself. It was just $3,000 and it was for Chloe. He would get it back. He had to. Days crawled by. Liam, consumed by his job hunt and the mounting pressure of his own bills, tried to push the credit card transaction from his mind. He expected to see a charge of around $3,000 appear on his statement. He checked his banking app with trepidation, bracing himself for the hit. But what he saw made his blood run cold. It wasn't $3,000. It was a single monstrous charge, $11,500. From Santorini Dreams Luxury Travel. Liam stared at the number, his vision blurring. $11,500. His entire emergency fund, if he'd had one, wouldn't have covered a fraction of that. This wasn't just a flight. This was a full-blown, exorbitant luxury vacation. His stomach dropped, a sickening lurch that left him breathless. He felt a wave of nausea, followed by a surge of white-hot fury. He clicked on the charge details, his fingers trembling. It wasn't just flights. The description listed, business class airfare 2x, 14-night stay at the Azure Cliffside Boutique Hotel, Santorini, private island hopping excursions, premium Alara Vance Art Workshop access, VIP airport transfers. Business class. A boutique hotel. Private excursions. This wasn't a struggling artist's workshop. This was Eleanor's fantasy vacation, funded entirely by his desperation. He felt a profound sense of violation. She hadn't just taken his money. She had taken his trust, his last shred of hope that she might, just once, be honest. He scrolled further down the transaction details. There, buried in the fine print, was a confirmation email address. It wasn't his. It was Eleanor's personal email. She had received the full, detailed itinerary, complete with all the lavish inclusions. She knew exactly what she was doing. She had lied, deliberately and maliciously, about every single detail. Liam's hand shook as he dialed her number. He was beyond furious. He was incandescent with rage. "Mom, what the hell is this?" he demanded, skipping any pleasantries. $11,500? I authorized $3,000 for economy flights. What did you do? Eleanor's voice, when she finally answered, was annoyingly calm, almost bored. "Oh, darling, don't be so dramatic. It was a package deal. Such a good discount, really. And the flight was included, so it just made sense. You wouldn't understand, darling. These things are so complicated to book." Complicated? You told me it was just for flights. You said $1,500 each for economy. This is business class, a luxury hotel, private excursions. You lied to me, Mom. You used my card to book yourself a luxury vacation. His voice was rising, cracking with disbelief and betrayal. Don't be absurd, Liam. It's for Chloe's workshop. And it's a perfectly reasonable price for such an exclusive experience. You're being completely unreasonable. I told you I'd pay you back from the inheritance. Honestly, you always make such a fuss. Her tone was dismissive, condescending. She was gaslighting him, as always, trying to make him feel irrational for reacting to her blatant deception. You said weeks, Mom. I need that money now. I'm about to be evicted. How could you do this to me? Well, perhaps you shouldn't have gotten yourself laid off, darling, she retorted, her voice hardening. It's not my fault you're in such a predicament. I'm doing this for Chloe, remember? Now I really must go. I'm packing. We leave tomorrow. Don't worry your little head about it. It's all under control. And with that she hung up. Liam stared at his phone, a dead line in his hand. He tried calling back, but she sent him straight to voicemail. He sent furious texts, but they went unanswered. The anger was a hot, suffocating blanket. He felt used, violated, and utterly helpless. He then tried calling Chloe. Maybe Chloe knew something, maybe she could explain. Hey Liam. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. We leave tomorrow. Mom got us the most amazing hotel with a private pool. And it's right on the caldera. Can you believe it? She said it was part of a special package with the workshop. This is going to be incredible for my portfolio. Chloe's voice was bubbling with genuine, innocent excitement. Liam's heart sank even further. Chloe was completely unaware. Eleanor had misled her own daughter, painting this lavish trip as a necessary component of the art workshop, a special package that was somehow a great deal. Chloe's naivety, her pure joy, only intensified Liam's feeling of betrayal. His mother wasn't just manipulating him. She was manipulating everyone around her, including her own child. He hung up with Chloe, feeling a desperate need for clarity, for someone who understood the depths of Eleanor's machinations. Then a name surfaced from the murky depths of family history: Aunt Carol, Eleanor's older sister, known for her sharp wit, her no-nonsense attitude, and her long-standing estrangement from Eleanor. Liam rarely spoke to Aunt Carol. There had been some dramatic family falling out years ago that he only vaguely remembered. But Aunt Carol had always seemed to see Eleanor for who she truly was. He was desperate. He found her number in his old contacts and with a deep breath dialed. "Liam? Is that really you?" Aunt Carol's voice was a little gruff but not unkind. "It's been ages, dear. To what do I owe the pleasure? Last I heard, you were doing something with computers." "Aunt Carol, it's about Mom." "Eleanor," Liam began, his voice cracking slightly. He quickly, concisely laid out the entire story. The desperate call, the loan for flights, the $11,500 charge, the luxury details, Eleanor's evasiveness, and Chloe's blissful ignorance. He didn't try to hide his anger or his fear. Aunt Carol listened in silence, a long drawn-out sigh escaping her lips when he finished. "Ah, Eleanor," she said, her voice laced with a weary resignation. "Still at it then? I suppose some things never change." "What do you mean, still at it?" Liam pressed, a flicker of hope that someone else understood. "Liam, your mother has a long history of this. Not just financially but emotionally. She's a master of the sob story, the grand gesture, and the convenient amnesia when it comes to repayment. She did something similar to our grandmother years ago. Grandmother was ill, and Eleanor convinced her she needed some experimental wellness treatment in Switzerland, claiming it was crucial for her recovery. Grandmother, bless her naive heart, gave Eleanor her life savings for it. Turned out, it was a luxury spa retreat for Eleanor and her then-boyfriend. Grandmother found out eventually, and it broke her heart. That's why I cut ties. I couldn't stand to watch her exploit people anymore." Liam felt a chill run down his spine. This wasn't just a one-off mistake, not just irresponsibility. This was a pattern, a predatory one. His mother wasn't just financially irresponsible. She was a serial manipulator, a con artist within her own family. The anger solidified into something cold and hard. "So what do I do?" Liam asked, his voice barely a whisper. "She's leaving tomorrow. I can't afford this, Aunt Carol. I'll lose everything." "You can't argue with Eleanor, Liam," Aunt Carol said, her voice firm. "She thrives on the drama, on making you feel guilty. She'll twist everything, make herself the victim. She only understands consequences when they're immediate and public. Don't confront her directly. Don't give her a chance to spin another tale. Act." "Act? How?" "You have the evidence. The credit card statement, the booking details. You know she lied. You know she committed fraud, essentially. The bank will see that. You need to hit her where it hurts, where she can't talk her way out of it. You need to make sure that trip doesn't happen. And you need to do it in a way that she can't deny what she did." Aunt Carol's words resonated deeply. Liam had been so focused on his anger, on the injustice. But Aunt Carol was right. Eleanor would never admit fault, never apologize, never truly understand the damage she caused. She needed a consequence she couldn't escape, a public humiliation that would expose her for what she was. The conversation with Aunt Carol shifted Liam's perspective from just anger to a calculated, almost surgical, need for justice. He wouldn't argue. He would act. The next morning, Liam woke with a grim determination. Today was the day. He had spent the night meticulously gathering all his evidence. The original text messages where Eleanor had asked for just the flights. The credit card statement clearly showing the $11,500 charge. The detailed luxury itinerary from the travel agency that Eleanor had received, and screenshots of the exorbitant package details from the agency's website. He had it all neatly organized. He waited. He knew their flight was scheduled for late morning. He wanted to time this perfectly. He wanted the consequence to be immediate, undeniable, and impossible for Eleanor to spin away. He wanted her to feel the public sting of her deceit. His phone buzzed. A notification from his credit card app. Transaction approved. Santorini Dreams Luxury Travel $11,500. This was it. He immediately called his credit card company. His voice, though his heart was pounding, was calm and steady. "Hello, I need to report a fraudulent charge on my account." He explained everything precisely and factually. He stated that he had authorized a specific, much smaller amount for 2 economy flights, and that the charge that went through was for a vastly different luxury package that he had never approved. He offered to email all his evidence immediately. The bank representative, hearing the clear discrepancy in Liam's documented initial authorization, listened carefully. After a few minutes of verification, she confirmed, "Sir, based on the information you've provided, this certainly appears to be an unauthorized charge. We will initiate a fraud investigation immediately. In the meantime, we can place an immediate hold on this specific booking and flag it as fraudulent. This means the booking will be cancelled." "Please do," Liam said, a wave of cold satisfaction washing over him. "Please cancel it." He hung up, his hand still shaking slightly, but this time not from fear, but from a strange mix of adrenaline and grim triumph. He knew their flight number and departure gate from the itinerary he'd seen. He had to see it. He had to witness the fallout. He grabbed his keys and headed to the airport. The terminal was a bustling hive of activity. Liam found a discreet spot near the gate for the Santorini flight. Blending into the crowd, his face carefully neutral. He watched the digital display board, the flight status still showing on time. Then he saw them. Eleanor, bustling with an air of self-importance, her designer carry-on slung over her shoulder, a wide, expectant smile on her face. Chloe walked beside her, looking genuinely excited, her small art portfolio bag clutched in her hand, her luggage adorned with brand-new tags. They approached the check-in counter, Eleanor already reaching for her passport, an air of entitlement about her. Liam pulled out his phone, opening his banking app. He waited. Eleanor handed over their passports. The check-in attendant, a young woman with a polite smile, began typing. Eleanor was already chattering, probably about their fabulous trip. Then Liam's phone buzzed again. A notification. Transaction pending declined. He watched, his eyes fixed on the check-in counter. The attendant's polite smile faltered. She typed something else, her brow furrowing. She tried again. She shook her head. Eleanor's confident smile began to waver. She leaned in, probably asking what was wrong. The attendant gestured to her screen. Eleanor pulled out another credit card, then another, handing them over with increasing urgency. Each one Liam knew would be declined. He saw the attendant shake her head again, more firmly this time. Eleanor's face shifted from confusion to disbelief, then to a dawning, horrifying realization. She started raising her voice, demanding to know what was happening. "What do you mean, declined? My booking is confirmed. I paid for this. There must be a mistake." The attendant, maintaining her professional composure, explained that the booking had been flagged for fraud and was now cancelled. "We cannot process your check-in, ma'am. The booking has been cancelled by the cardholder's bank." Eleanor's eyes darted wildly around the terminal, as if searching for an escape, for a way to make this public humiliation disappear. Her gaze swept over Liam, and for a split second their eyes met. A flicker of recognition, then immediate, cold fury contorted her features. Liam remained stoic, just observing, a silent, unmoving statue of retribution. Chloe, who had been standing quietly beside her mother, looked utterly bewildered. Her face crumpled, tears welling up in her eyes as she heard the word cancelled. She looked from her mother's furious face to the impassive attendant, then back to the now empty check-in screen. The attendant, clearly uncomfortable with the escalating scene, suggested, "Perhaps you should contact the original cardholder for clarification, ma'am." Eleanor, her face a blotchy red, let out a strangled sound of rage. She grabbed Chloe's arm, pulling her roughly away from the counter. "Come on, Chloe. This is ridiculous. Some kind of mistake. We'll figure this out." She stormed away, dragging a bewildered and tearful Chloe behind her, leaving a trail of whispers and curious glances in their wake. Liam watched them disappear into the crowd, a profound sense of exhaustion settling over him. It was done. The first part of Aunt Carol's advice had been executed. The consequence was immediate, public, and undeniable. The next morning, Liam was nursing a lukewarm cup of coffee, the quiet hum of his apartment a stark contrast to the previous day's airport drama. He was still processing the events, the mix of satisfaction and a lingering sadness for Chloe. He knew she was an innocent bystander in her mother's schemes. Then a pounding on his door. Not a polite knock, but an insistent, angry thudding. Liam's heart tightened. He knew who it was. He opened the door to find his father, David, standing on his doorstep. David, usually quiet, unassuming, and perpetually under Eleanor's influence, looked a mess. His face was a mixture of anger, confusion, and a deep-seated weariness. "What did you do to your mother, Liam?" David demanded, his voice strained. "She's hysterical. She said you canceled their trip. That you deliberately sabotaged Chloe's future. What is wrong with you?" Liam didn't flinch. He knew Eleanor would have spun a masterful tale of victimhood. "Come in, Dad," he said, his voice calm, almost unnervingly so. He stepped aside, allowing his father into the small living room. David paced, agitated. Liam waited until his father had exhausted his initial outburst. Then he spoke, his voice steady and clear. "Dad, sit down. I'm going to show you exactly what happened." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't accuse. He simply laid out the facts one by one like pieces of a puzzle. He pulled out his phone and opened his messages. "Here, Dad. This is the text message from Mom, asking for a loan for just the flights. She specifically said, $1,500 each for economy tickets. $3,000 total." He then opened his banking app, showing the $11,500 charge. "And this, Dad, is what she actually charged to my credit card. $11,500. Not $3," David's brow furrowed. He leaned closer, squinting at the screen. What is this charge for?" Liam then opened the email from the travel agency, the one Eleanor had received. He scrolled through it, showing his father the details. Business class airfare 2x. 14-night stay at the Azure Cliffside Boutique Hotel, Santorini. Private island hopping excursions, premium Alara Vance Art Workshop access, VIP airport transfers. David's face, usually so placid, began to contort. He looked from the screen to Liam, then back to the screen, his mouth slightly agape. "Business class? A boutique hotel? What is this?" "It's a luxury vacation, Dad," Liam stated, his voice devoid of emotion. "She told me it was for 2 economy flights for Chloe's art workshop. She used my card, without my permission, to book herself a lavish 2-week $11,000 vacation. While I'm facing eviction. While I'm struggling to find work." He then pulled up the screenshots of the travel agency's website, showing the breakdown of the luxury package, the exorbitant costs clearly displayed. "I only authorized $3,000 for economy flights. When I saw this, I called the bank. I reported it as fraud. They investigated, confirmed it was an unauthorized charge, and canceled the booking. That's why their check-in failed yesterday." David sat in stunned silence, his shoulders slumping. He ran a hand over his face, looking utterly defeated. She told me it was a mistake. A system error. She said you were just being cruel." "She lied, Dad." "Again," Liam said, his voice soft but firm. "This isn't the first time either. Aunt Carol told me about what she did to Grandma. The experimental treatment, that was actually a spa retreat, paid for with Grandma's life savings." David's head snapped up. His eyes widened, a flicker of something akin to pain in their depths. "Carol, she told you that?" He looked away, a deep sigh escaping him. I knew about that. I didn't want to believe it. Eleanor always had an explanation. Always. I let myself believe her." He looked at Liam, a profound sadness in his eyes. "She's been doing this for years, hasn't she? All the investments that vanished, the emergencies that required cash, the loans that were never repaid. I always made excuses for her." The full weight of Eleanor's manipulation, not just of Liam but of David himself and even Chloe, seemed to hit his father all at once. He sat there, a broken man, finally seeing the reality of the woman he had been married to for decades, the woman whose manipulative tendencies he had ignored or enabled. Just then Liam's phone rang. He looked at the caller ID. It was Chloe. He hesitated for a moment, then answered, putting it on speaker so his father could hear. Liam. Chloe's voice was small, choked with sobs. Oh Liam, I'm so sorry. I found the itinerary. Mom's tablet. She left it open. I saw everything. The business class, the luxury hotel, the private tours. It was never just the workshop, was it? She lied to me too. She made me believe it was all part of the art program. I feel so stupid. And so used. Oh Liam, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I truly didn't. David listened, his eyes closed, a tear tracing a path down his cheek. It's okay, Chloe, Liam said, his voice gentle. It's not your fault. She manipulates everyone. I needed you to know the truth. I do now, Chloe whispered, her voice thick with tears. I'm so ashamed. And I'm so angry at her. She ruined everything. Not just the trip, but everything. I don't even want to look at her right now. There was a pause then. I'll help you, Liam. I'll get a job, I'll pay you back whatever I can. Promise. I'll make this right. You don't have to, Chloe, Liam said. Just learn from this. And don't let her do this to you again. Chloe sobbed softly. I won't. Promise. I really won't. She hung up. The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by David's ragged breathing. Eleanor, having lost the trip, had now lost her daughter's respect and, it seemed, a significant portion of her husband's trust. The karma, as Aunt Carol had predicted, was immediate and hitting hard. Her deception had not only cost her the lavish vacation but had also alienated her own family, exposing her lies in the most painful way possible. The credit card company's fraud investigation would proceed, further damaging her financial standing and credit, a self-inflicted wound that would linger. The aftermath was a slow, painful process of rebuilding. Liam's relationship with his mother was irrevocably broken. He stopped all financial support, blocking her number and setting clear, unyielding boundaries. The emotional drain of her constant demands had been a heavier burden than any debt, and now, finally, he was free of it. He focused on rebuilding his own life, his own finances, with a newfound clarity and resolve. Chloe, disillusioned and deeply hurt by her mother's betrayal, found a quiet strength. She decided to pursue her art independently, no longer seeking Eleanor's approval or financial backing. She took on a part-time job at a local gallery, saving every penny to fund a genuine, affordable art course at a community college. She grew closer to Liam and Aunt Carol, seeking their guidance and support, finding a true family in their honest, if sometimes blunt, advice. She apologized profusely to Liam, not just for the trip, but for her past naivety, and genuinely tried to make amends, offering to help him with administrative tasks for his freelance work, a small but meaningful gesture of solidarity. David, shocked by the profound revelations about Eleanor's long-standing patterns of deception, began to reevaluate his entire marriage and his passive role within it. He started therapy, acknowledging years of enabling behavior, of turning a blind eye to Eleanor's manipulations out of a misguided sense of loyalty, or simply a desire to avoid conflict. He eventually separated from Eleanor, realizing he could no longer tolerate her manipulative tendencies, no longer live in the shadow of her lies. It was a painful divorce, but it was a necessary step towards reclaiming his own integrity. He started to build a more authentic, honest relationship with Liam and Chloe, one based on truth rather than Eleanor's carefully constructed fictions. Liam, finally freed from the financial drain and emotional manipulation that had plagued him for years, slowly but surely began to recover financially. The burden once crushing was lifted. He landed a significant freelance project, one that allowed him to pay his rent on time and even start a small emergency fund. He found a new sense of peace and autonomy, a quiet satisfaction in the knowledge that he had stood up for himself, that he had broken the cycle of manipulation. The anger had faded, replaced by a quiet sense of triumph. He was no longer the naive son his mother could so easily exploit. He was stronger, wiser, and finally truly free. He looked at his now healthier bank balance, a small but growing number, and felt a profound sense of quiet satisfaction. It had been a hard lesson but an invaluable one. Have you ever had to draw a hard line with a family member, and what did it cost you?